Welcome once again to Achievers Book Club. I'm Sarah Ndu, your reading companion and guide. Every week here on the Achievement Channel, we open the pages of transformational books that help you live, lead, and achieve more intentionally. This week, we are confronting a silent saboteur that holds many back, An Enemy Called Average, by the incredibly direct and powerful John L. Mason. Get ready to discover why settling for mediocrity is a dangerous trap and how to unlock your unique God-given potential, because here at the Achievement Channel we see possibilities. This isn't just a book, it's a wake-up call. Since its release, An Enemy Called Average has challenged millions worldwide to reject complacency and embrace the extraordinary. Mason brilliantly dismantles the pervasive myth that average is acceptable, teaching us that our potential is far greater than we often realize. He invites us to understand that true fulfillment comes from striving for excellence, recognizing our unique gifts, and refusing to blend in. Let's unpack the core principles that ignite a life of impact and distinction. My guest today is no stranger to challenging the status quo and inspiring others to reach their highest potential. He is a renowned motivational speaker, and he is here to help us uncover the life-changing wisdom in John L. Mason's principles. Welcome to the book club, Mr. Motivator.
Thank you, Sarah. It's good to be back.
Thank you. Mr. Motivator, Mason's central premise is that average is your enemy.
That's right.
And excellence is your friend. So in a world that encourages conformity,
Yes.
particularly in our country, Nigeria, how crucial is it for individuals to truly understand these concepts and to embrace their own identity instead of conforming to what is normal?
Okay. Every human being is created to be unique. Every human being. It's the reason why our fingerprints aren't the same. There's always something different, stand out about each and every one of us. Now, whether we actualize our unique strengths or our unique variables round about us in terms of our context, in terms of our upbringing, in terms of our innate capabilities, it's a matter of choice. So in a space such as ours, where, as you know, most people like to copy others. Someone starts something new, before you know it, many people flock in that direction. There was a time when in this country we had over 110 banks, meaning that in that space, amongst the elites, the topmost of the society, everybody that was somebody wanted to have a bank or wanted to own a bank, until the whole episode collapsed, and now we have about 20 or so banks. So the tendency to want to be like others is very high. And that is the averagers club. It's overcrowded. And if you use that as your frame of reference, especially in Nigeria, it should serve as very significant motivation for you to do everything possible to stand out. So it is very crucial. Otherwise, you will get lost in the crowd.
The normal.
You will get lost in the crowd. Everybody these days has a degree. You have job interviews. You have thousands upon thousands all going for the same. You get employed. Most people are thinking of doing it the same way. How do you stand out? And after a period of time, the world will be crying out for standout performers. So it is very important, in order not to get lost in the crowd, individuals should work hard to explore and expose their uniqueness and to do it very well, which is why excellence plays a very crucial role. So it is very crucial, number one, to not be lost in the crowd. So let's go to the second one. When you stand out, your unique capabilities can then become how you actually compete. In other words, if you're excellent and you become great at what you do, you are simply signaling to those who have a say, who can decide, who will make the choice, that you are competitive. But if you are part of the same, it means that you have been soaked in, you have been swallowed in. And it then becomes a game of chance. But when you excel, you are actually taking your destiny in your own hands. That becomes your unique selling proposition, as we call it in marketing, and by extension, your competitive advantage. That's why we must stand out. Take, for instance, when we started the School of Eloquence many years ago, almost 20 years ago, we made it clear that we are a school that teaches public speaking, nothing else, not even presentation skills and all of those corporate stuff. Even at the great cost of being perceived as a school for training political and religious leaders because they are the ones that do the typical public speaking, we stood our ground. I remember an oil and gas company, then NLNG, taking me to task, saying, all we care about are presentations and what have you. You should be able to teach that. And I said to them, their entire team in charge of their training and development, sorry, we teach raw, actual art of public speaking, without which you cannot be an effective presenter using audio visuals. We stood our ground. I was much younger then. Most people thought I was being naive. But that was the only way School of Eloquence could stand out from amongst the many other providers of training solutions. And guess what? They ended up giving us the contract to train their staff in Lagos, Port Harcourt and Bonny. Almost 100 of them. Why? Because we stood out, we stood our grounds. Ours is public speaking. We are unique. This was what? Almost 18 or so years ago. So when you draw a line in the sand, you make yourself as distinct as possible. What you're doing is saying, I don't want to be numbered with the crowd. I'm separate, I'm unique, I'm different, and I also bring value. That is what Nigerians must learn. Even if you play in an industry where there are several other players, and what you're offering is near uniform, find ways to differentiate. It could be through the way you deliver the service. Sometimes people want the service, the same service, but they want it delivered in a unique way and manner. Yeah. It could be speed, it could be promptness. It could be that there are some additional value that you add to it. Why not? But always find a way to make yours stand out. That is the part that begins to peel you away from the averagers club to stand out in an excellent manner. And we can all apply this. We can all, at our various respective levels, we can apply this concept. But it must start by harboring and nurturing that innate dissatisfaction with the status quo. Everyone's doing it, and so what? I am not everyone. I am someone. And that is what John L. Mason is speaking to. That there's an enemy called average. That pool to which most people, based on groupthink, collective thinking, collective buy-in, collective settlement, drink from. They swim in it. And that the longer you remain in that environment, the duller you become. You now see everything as the same, everyone as the same, and you normalize average. And John L. Mason, through this punch of a motivational book, is saying, no, don't normalize the norm. Don't normalize that which is status quo. Challenge it. Otherwise, you might remain very long on that queue, expecting to succeed, and that might take you far longer than necessary. So I would say, as much as possible, it is very crucial, and it should motivate us along those lines. Those 2 points would be my position on that.
Amazing. Amazing, amazing. So it's about...
And in any case, by my time, the third one, it is the fact that when you look at our society in terms of the stereotype, it wants us to conform. When you look at our society in terms of how it plays out, it doesn't celebrate excellence. There really isn't much of an incentive to want to go all out on your own to stand out. Everybody is doing it. This is the next best thing, so I'm going to open a shop. That's what everyone is doing. Yeah. Oh, so this is going on. Everybody is going to this same school without asking why. I join. On and on and on. Everywhere, every sector you go to, without even asking, why do I want to be part of this? And if I'm going to be part of it, how can mine be different? So that should challenge us.
So it's about discovering your authentic self and championing it into something different, something unique, not like the usual, or not even conforming to the status quo of the country.
Try as much as possible to differentiate, as much as possible. If you don't, the system with the crowd will suck you in. You will become enveloped and be numbered with the crowd.
Oh, thank you for that. So, Mr. Motivator, that takes us to the next question. Mason challenges us to separate yourself from the crowd. So, what practical steps can our viewers, whether they are students, they are entrepreneurs, or they are professionals, take to genuinely stand out and distinguish themselves in their chosen field?
The chosen field. You see, excellence is very rare. Excellence is rare. That's the amazing thing about it. And the moment we understand that, we will find the motivation to excel. So let's take very simple things. You're a young person. You've just finished your NYSC. You've gained employment in an organization with a lot of your peers. Work resumes at, let's say, 8 o'clock. But you show up at 7:30 in order to gain a head start from yesterday's workload, to give you that extra 30 minutes to enable you to put in your best. Out of 10 of you, you show up that way. But your other colleagues, about 7 or 8, begin to say things like, is it your work? Must you carry everything on your head? Why are you making the rest of us look bad? Work resumes at 8. Why are you being overzealous? They label you because excellence is rare.
True.
The society doesn't really reckon with excellence until it's achieved. But you see, you stay the course. You stay that course, you remain consistent. First to resume, last to close. Despite the fact that the crowd labels you, discourages you, but you stay focused. In no time, who will be the first to notice that you're standing out? Your boss. Your boss will notice. Your boss might come in around 4 p.m., check around, most people have left, moves around only to discover, oh, this person is still around and they are working. Why? Because you chose to go the extra mile. And as we say in motivational circles, the extra mile is never crowded. Going the extra mile, there's hardly any traffic on the extra mile. But the general lane, just like your third mainland bridge, during rush hours, is always bumper to bumper. So that's a classic, practical example that anyone can start with right now. Think of whatever you're doing and ask yourself, how can I go the extra mile? And what I'm saying, these days, a lot of young people see it as old-fashioned. Gen Z, this is how we think and all that. But there is nothing old-fashioned or out of fashion when it comes to the principles of success. They worked centuries ago, they still work till today, regardless of the changing in the times. Going the extra mile. That's one. Number two, you can do more than you're being paid to do. You are a service provider, for instance. Let's say you're in the business of decoration. What do you call these people who design, who decorate event planners? And you have a contract to show up at the venue, decorate the place, and just do the barest minimum. But then you go the extra mile because of your clients. Maybe by going the extra mile, you added an album, a photo album of the entire event, which might not cost you anything too significant, just an additional introduction. It's of throwing value. But some other event planner would say, well, that's not my area. Why should I go to that extent? Let me do what they paid me for. Somebody is going to notice. And that could be the reason why your services are being sought continually or preferred over the competition. And in time, you get paid more. That is part of it. You can go the extra mile. Yeah. And you can extra value, you can introduce extra value to your service line or whatever it is that you're producing. It is not popular. It doesn't have to be for those who want to be successful. So at whatever level you find yourself, ask yourself this question. Am I traveling on main streets with all of the averagers stuck in the bumper-to-bumper traffic? Or have I been able to differentiate myself by going the extra mile, by doing more that I'm paid for? Or am I just doing barely enough to satisfy the norm in terms of expectation? Mm. This is applicable across the board. And it's for us to understand that is how we make that difference in this country.
Mm. So it's about the consistent application of efforts.
Absolutely. Wow. But over and beyond what is standard.
Yeah.
Very important. That is when you get into excellence territory. Over and beyond what is standard. And as they say in service, over and above the call of duty. Mm. Your ability to give more, your ability to do more leads to your getting recognized more and getting paid even more. Oh. That is how we conquer that enemy called average.
That's a great one, Mr. Motivator. Let us go on a short break and we will be right back.
Do you feel terrified when speaking before a group? Are you stressed when asked to present? Do you bore people when speaking? Are you stuck with reading word for word? How do you give a speech with polish? Learn how at the School of Eloquence,
the home of public speaking. Attend our practical coaching in public speaking. Call 0802-303-2066 or log on to schoolofeloquence.org.
School of Eloquence, teaching the world to speak.
Welcome back to the Achievers Book Club. So, Mr. Motivator, let us dive into the next question. So, Mason dedicates significant attention to the power of internal world, meaning our thoughts and our words. And he states that what you think determines what you are. So, in a world saturated with information and external influences, why is guarding our thoughts so vital for breaking free from average? And how do our words then become powerful tools in this journey?
It's important because the world is full of naysayers. The world is full of discouragers. You want to avoid such influences. They come disguised as people who mean well, as people who represent the norm, the standard. This is how we've always been doing it. Why is yours so different? And if you listen to them long enough, you begin to lower your standards and become part of them. So Mason advocates that we strive to be as protective as possible, create this shielding. Because by choosing to go the extra mile, by choosing excellence over the norm, remember I said earlier on that excellence is a rarity. By choosing these values, you are actually swimming against the tide. That's what you're doing. And that in itself cannot be easy. So going the extra mile to internally program yourself to think positive thoughts, to enshrine very high standards, because that's what excellence is about, very high standards. That if I'm going to go into this business, this is the quality that I intend to offer, and I will settle for nothing less. Not many people in the business context will speak that affirmatively and that authoritatively. So ensuring that your programming remains intact, shielded from the externalities of negative influence, becomes very important. Otherwise, you could fall a victim of conditioning from the external environment. You don't want that. So that's why Mason advocates that when you have an idea, the idea might sound outlandish. It might sound outrageous. For instance, someone comes and says, right here in Ikoyi, where our studios is located, across there is a lake. I want to build, let's say, a gazebo around that lake that can have people come in every evening closing from work. And I want to develop that space in such a way that people can relax formally from work especially. You announce that to a group of people and they wonder, are you sure this is Lagos? The area is filthy and you know the stress, all kinds of excuses, all kinds of reasons for not even attempting it could come up. Do you know you're going to need permission from the various authorities? You know how difficult the bureaucracy is. This is not America. This is not Europe. This is not UK. These are the typical responses you're likely to get from the averagers, from the naysayers. And Mason is saying, nurture your standards internally, program yourself so well, such that should you decide to venture, it will not matter. So the kinds of books you read, the kinds of relationships you bring into your own space to enjoy an iron sharpens iron experience, rather than a wood blunts a knife edge experience. All of these factors, the things you watch, the time you spend to reflect, all in a bid to keep your mind sharp, alert, and dreaming, visioning. It's very important. That's what excellent people do. That's how they start. And then making sure that in terms of interactions, you reduce the amount of negativity from what people say about what you're trying to do, or from what you even see. Thoughts and words working together. The quality of what you coordinate within you invariably becomes the actual reflection of the excellence that you achieve. And that's what Mason is telling us. And that is how you grow out of the average into standout status. And that's why he says that the average is the enemy of that which is excellent. Not that average is bad, it's a choice. But he's saying when it comes to that comparative analysis between excellence and average, definitely average is the enemy.
So it's about cultivating an inner environment for yourself firstly.
Absolutely.
That's an insight.
That then eventually manifests in the outer environment.
The outer environment.
It's like what George Bernard Shaw said, that there are two kinds of people in the world: the reasonable man and the unreasonable man. That the reasonable man constantly works to adapt himself to suit his environment. In other words, he whittles himself down to meet the expectations of the crowd. The environment is the crowd. This is how we have always been doing it. That's the reasonable man. And there are tons and millions of reasonable men all over the world. That's why you hear the expression, be reasonable. Let's do it this way. This is the way we've always been doing it. But then George Bernard Shaw goes on to say there is also another type of human being known as the unreasonable man. There are very few, but he describes the unreasonable man as the one who strives to adapt his environment to suit his own interpretation, his own internal inner expectations in terms of his goals and dreams. And he concludes by saying, is it therefore any wonder that all of the progress of society have been from the results of the efforts of the unreasonable man?
Insightful.
And I believe John L. Mason is telling us in that book, An Enemy Called Average, to be unreasonable to the rest of the crowd.
Insightful. Thank you, Mr. Motivator.
Thank you.
It's been a wonderful time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Motivator has given us so much to reflect on. Now, let's make these principles real. Here's your Achievers Challenge for the week, inspired by John L. Mason. 1. Identify your uniqueness. You can take 15 minutes this week to write down 3 unique strengths or talents you possess. How can you intentionally leverage one of these strengths this week to go beyond the expected? 2. Take one extra step. In an area where you currently perform at an average level, commit to doing just one extra and excellent thing this week. It could be an extra effort, an extra hour, or an extra detail. 3. Guard your words. For one full day this week, be hyper aware of your self-talk. Every time you catch a negative or limiting thought about yourself, immediately replace it with a positive, empowering declaration. Share your journey with us using the hashtag Achievers Book Club. Let's break free from average together.
Welcome to Achievers Book Club, your guide to unlocking powerful wisdom. We confront a silent saboteur, a pervasive mindset that holds countless dreams captive. We're talking about an enemy called average, a powerful wake-up call to unleash your true, exceptional self. Spotlight is on An Enemy Called Average by John L. Mason. Published in 1990, this isn't just a book, it's a battle cry. Mason, an acclaimed author and speaker known for his sharp, no-nonsense insights, challenges us to break free from the gravitational pull of mediocrity. He argues that our biggest obstacle isn't external, it's the internal enemy that whispers, good enough is fine. At its heart, An Enemy Called Average is a powerful manifesto for personal excellence. Mason cuts through complacency, urging us to recognize our inherent uniqueness and refuse to settle for anything less than our best. He offers actionable principles to move beyond mediocrity. As each principle appears on screen with its icon, it begins with recognizing your uniqueness. You are an original, not a copy. Calls for a clear vision, knowing where you're going and why you won't settle. Demands consistent action and flawless execution. Dreams without work remain just dreams. Mason emphasizes the critical need for laser-sharp focus, eliminating anything that pulls you back to average. He also champions relentless persistence, knowing that setbacks are part of the journey to extraordinary. And underlying it all is passion, the fuel that drives you to surpass expectations. These principles are not about perfection, but about the relentless pursuit of your highest potential. Mason's message is rooted in the belief that mediocrity is a choice and excellence is a discipline. He challenges us to move beyond limiting beliefs, cultivate an unwavering growth mindset, and fully commit to the unique potential within us. It's about understanding that average is the enemy of outstanding, and that every person has a distinct gift to share. The beauty of An Enemy Called Average is its fearless universality. Its call to action resonates with anyone who feels stuck, unfulfilled, or simply ready to elevate their game. Whether you're in business, sports, academics, or personal life, Mason's words ignite a fire to pursue genuine distinction. The impact of An Enemy Called Average is profound. transformed lives by providing a direct, unvarnished challenge to settle for more. Mason's uncompromising message has empowered millions to stop making excuses, stop fearing failure, and start living up to their true, magnificent potential. Champion the idea that your uniqueness is your strength, and that true fulfillment comes from giving your absolute best. This book challenges you to ask, are you settling for average? And are you ready to declare war on complacency and unlock the extraordinary within you? If you're ready to break free from the ordinary, unleash your inherent greatness, and live a life of uncompromising excellence, then An Enemy Called Average is more than just a book, it's a declaration of independence for your soul. Pick up a copy, embrace its challenge, and begin your journey to exceptionalism. Join us next time on Achievers Book Club, where we continue to explore the books that empower extraordinary lives. Until then, keep striving, keep soaring, and keep achieving.
Next week, we are diving into a timeless classic that has transformed relationships and careers for millions. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This isn't about manipulation, it's about understanding human nature, building genuine connections, and becoming a person others naturally want to engage with and follow. So if you are looking to engage your communication skills, deepen your relationships, and expand your sphere of influence, you absolutely cannot miss our next episode.
My name is Dr. Aaron Vines, Executive Director for Amen. I want to give a big shout out to the Achievement Channel. You are doing the community and the people's work. Keep up the good work.
Hello, my name is Oluwagbemisola Ojedoku. I'm a full stack website developer. Keep watching Achievement Channels.
Thank you for spending this enriching time with us here at Achievers Book Club. Remember, you were not created to be average. You possess unique potential waiting to be unleashed. Embrace excellence, challenge the status quo, and live the extraordinary life you were meant for. I'm Sarah Ndu, and until next time, we see possibilities.